images nous rendons compte.
Tonight, in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television, the University of Buea in the northwest region of Cameroon, in a release this Friday, has said that its lecturer was brutally murdered. Professor Mbufong Paul, who was killed, that was yesterday, Thursday, has left many in shock and consternation, especially the university community. In this newscast, we talk about the press release of the University of Buea. And also ahead, Nijon Fundi says that he is preoccupied about the plight of the Baba 2 population that is in the northwest region of Cameroon. In this newscast, we take you to the residence of Nijon Fundi, which went into flames a few days ago in the northwest region of Cameroon. Also ahead in the second part of this newscast, our guest is going to be talking about the restructuring of the GCE board and what is going to be the implication. We shall be talking about that in the second part of this newscast. Those are headlines. We shall be right back with the details. Stay with us. Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. It is 6 p.m. and you're watching the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television. Let's begin right away here in the economic capital, Douala, with the difficulties faced by some inhabitants in Bonabero of the Douala 4 municipality, locals precisely in the neighborhood of Sebek, that have to go into and out of water to get to their private residence. Passages created with tires and planks are often submerged by water, especially after a heavy downpour. Let's have the details with Innocent as it was in Bonaberi in the following story.
This is how some inhabitants of the Sebek neighborhood in Bonaberi, Douala 4 subdivision, get into their homes. Going to or returning from work, school or market, they are compelled by nature to first and foremost remove their shoes and walk in the pool of water. After this challenge, they can now rewear their shoes to continue their journey to wherever. An unavoidable situation due to the ever swampy nature of the environment. During slight or heavy rainfall, the tires, blocks and planks used to create a passage are submerged, worsening the mobility of residents. Water also inundates homes as well as the cratered seasonal roads, hampering flexible circulation of vehicles and motorbikes. Commentators have advanced that people have decided to construct on this swampy or marshy area due to the known availability of good building space as the population size of Bonaberi expands rapidly due to the industrial and economic opportunities it offers.
Nijon Fundi, the chairman of the Social Democratic Front Party, has said that he is preoccupied with the hardship and misery of the people of Baba 2, that is in Santa subdivision, Mezam of the northwest region of Cameroon, as well as other neighboring villages in the conflicted northwest and southwest regions who are living in constant fear of being attacked. The SDF chair said that the rights of civilians in the northwest and the southwest regions are constantly being violated, and thus the need for the Anglophone crisis to be addressed. Nijon Fundi was speaking as he visited Baba 1 to evaluate the loss incurred after his residence was set ablaze. Details with Mbo Stella.
This is what is left of Nijon Fundi's Baba 2 residence in Santa subdivision of the northwest region. An over 5 English building and property worth over 120 million has been burned to ashes. For about 2 months, inhabitants have been going through what they have described as inhuman treatment on them.
For inside 2 months now, we're inside this village now for both families. From even outside, highest time for week woman is about 5 o'clock, we don't finish to go to the kitchen. Not even fertilizing, not even anything. And one more important thing, not get way to cross now to go by. it's hard for me to go back.
Upon getting this report from his village, the national chairman of the Social Democratic Front Party on Saturday, October 13, 2018, undertook a visit to the village to meet the perpetrators of these acts.
I was coming up to the village to see the Amber boys, find out from them what is your quarrel. If you are fighting that you want to let your chickens hatch more eggs, you have to protect the eggs.
Wednesday, October 17th, the Babatu residence of Chairman Fundi was looted and later burned to ashes, inhabitants told this reporter.
They begin hit the gate with hammer. The gate give way. They broke door. Carry some things inside house. Put it inside motor go keep it. Come back again.
As to why his residence was burnt, the chairman says,
when I got down, it was 6 o'clock that I got to town. Gaba and Salifu took one motorcycle. At the fish pond, the police came onto them to jam them. Garba jumped down, and the motorcycle was running with Salifu. They started firing. A bullet got Salifu on the left ankle, deflected. Tuesday, I went up to the governor with Salifu to tell the governor that, Mr. Governor, the way your policemen are harassing people is not possible. I won't take it. Can you, Mr. Governor, tell your people not to have these excesses again? Because these boys have the agents all over. They reported to them that I went to governor to send me army to come and fight them. And they came, burned my house. I'm told before they burned the house, they looted property.
Babatu residents, friends and well-wishers have been streaming into the compound to see for themselves the damages. Drawing inspiration from the Bible, Reverend Wilfred Etuni, pastor of the Presbyterian Church Babatu, calls on all present to thank God in every situation and also to pray without ceasing so a lasting solution to the crisis can be arrived at. As of now, construction works have begun to erect a new building at the site. According to the chairman, spending the end of year feast in his village has been a routine, and this year will not be an exception. Speaking to pressmen upon returning to his Tarigon residence, the chairman says,
I think it's an issue for us to sit down and look very well, critically, into the Anglophone problem and get it resolved. Otherwise, the way I feel now, I see the country going into a deeper problem that if we do not take time and to resolve it early, will not be better in this country.
This is the second time the residence of National Chairman is being attacked since the crisis began in the northwest and southwest regions of the country.
And yesterday, October 25th, the Director of Administrative Affairs of the University of Bamenda was shot dead. That is in Bambili, Tuba Subdivision, Mezamendenon. The death of Professor Mbufong Paul left the entire university community in shock. The Vice-Chancellor issued a statement today in which she recounted how the late lecturer of the linguistics was killed. Professor Teresa Young that Professor Mbufong Paul was on his way to the university campus when he was chased, pulled out of his hideout behind the Tuba Council and then killed. The Vice-Chancellor said that the act was perpetrated by unidentified assailants. We of course will be telling you more on that in our subsequent newscast. Now, the National Commission on Human Rights and Freedoms has called on the government of Cameroon to seek lasting solutions to the crisis in the two Anglophone regions of Cameroon. The organ's president, Chemuta Divine Banda, was speaking to the media that was in Yaoundé today. The outing of the Human Rights Commission is coming in the wake of growing human rights concerns in the two English-speaking regions of the country. The commission equally praised what they called maturity of Cameroonians during the just ended presidential election across the national territory. Now, it has been an invincible battle for the government of Cameroon for more than 4 years now. The ban on the production, sale, as well as use of non-biodegradable plastic bags is still flourishing across the national territory despite the ban that was put in place in April 2014 by the government of Cameroon. It is surviving in the open like in the black market. Custom officials in Dimbe Southwest region of Cameroon succeeded to lay hands bans on tons of plastics illegally transported to Cameroon from Nigeria, as Davidson Maimo tells us in the following report.
The fight against non-biodegradable plastic papers continues as stipulated by the Cameroon government, with the Ministry of Environment and the Protection of Nature at the forefront. Related government services such as the Customs, the Navy and others are not leaving out no stone unturned, not just in propagating Cameroon government stance on non-biodegradable plastic papers, but equally making sure the plastic are seized and handed to the proper authority in charge. This week, Customs in Limbe stormed one of the illegal port after a hint seizing about 2 tons of non-biodegradable plastic papers of all sizes and colors, handing it over to the Regional Delegation of Environment and the Protection of Nature.
You know that the Ministry of Environment are working around the globe with the Ministry of Customs in such a way that they can support us at the border of port to help us to seize those plastics.
The plastic papers imported illegally from neighboring Nigeria are being destroyed by staffs of the Divisional Regional Delegation of Environment and the Protection of Nature.
And after destroying those plastics, we are going to hand them over to a company in search of recycling them.
The destroyed non-biodegradable plastic papers are then proceeded to Bob Didi Plastic Industry, which is licensed and authorized for the production of biodegradable plastic papers, where it is being recycled to meet the standard microns as prescribed by the government of Cameroon.
Tin plastic are banned in Cameroon, and I want to encourage people to continue buying plastic, which are authorized. Those plastic whose thickness is greater than 60 microns.
Scientists host that 8 million metric tons of non-biodegradable plastics end up in the ocean, and if nothing is done by 2025, the annual input in our ocean is estimated to about twice greater, thus a negative effect to marine organisms, especially to fish, which is our main source of protein.
We now talk academics. Some students in examination classes at the Government Technical High School in Kumasi here in the economic capital Douala that have vowed that they would never dream traveling out of Cameroon illegally. It was during a sensitization talk that took place at the premises of the said institution here in the economic capital Douala. Sumanjikan Gabriel tells us more in the following report.
Musala de Bondel is his name, and he tells his friends the sad tales about his unfruitful journeys in search of greener pastures. We are at the Government Technical High School in Kumasi, Douala, where Form 4 students are being lectured on the ills of illegal immigrations. Musala Dubondel, who decided to share his own story, had traveled to 4 countries: Niger, Algeria, Morocco and Libya. But Zabrata in Libya, he says he can never forget what he saw.
On arrive à Zabrata, on survit, on ne vit pas.
At Zabrata, it was the survival of the fittest, as at any time you could as well die. Fortunately for us, an NGO bought us off at the time the rebels were having a battle. Where we slept was covered by stones, but stray bullets took away the lives of unfortunate ones. It was at Zabrata that I saw the worst arms since I was born. According to him, even food wasn't available for the slow eaters when it is there. As the students keenly listened to the confession of the friends, at the end of the day, they vowed never to dream about going. Illegal immigration is not good. Going through the videos we've watched, we saw that our friends have regretted going out. Musala Dubondel also advises his peers to country and work to succeed rather than to go out.
Je ne conseille pas à mes frères camerounais de partir. Mieux vaut on cherche à se former ici, on se sait les coups, on vit comme on vit.
Illegal immigration, should be recalled, has led to several untold sufferings to Cameroonians, and enlightening the young ones at this stage could save several souls who had resolved to travel out of the country.
We now talk about something else. The franc CFA is not going to be devalued. Heads of states and governments of the CEMAC zone resolved to maintain the value of franc CFA in an extraordinary meeting or summit that took place in Jamina, Chad. That was yesterday. Details on the resolution of the CEMAC summit, which took place yesterday, with our reporter Fomi Armstrong Sander.
Contrary to speculations on a possible devaluation of the franc CFA, the N'Djamena Extraordinary Summit of Central African Economic and Monetary Committee (CEMAC) rather committed to a coordinated, concerted, controlled and united exit from the crisis hitting the sub-region. The 6 member countries agreed to implement all the measures contained in the economic program concluded with the International Monetary Fund (IMF), indicating their determination to consider reforms which are essential to the economic recovery of the sub-region. To tackle other ills that have contributed to the slowdown of most economies of the CEMAC sub-region, participants all agreed on common ways to fight against money laundering and financing of terrorism. The growth and stability of CEMAC as an institution equally preoccupied the leaders, who called on member countries to respect their engagement. They also agreed on the creation of a credit and remuneration committee for the region. The heads of states and governments called for the strengthening of sub-regional integration and the improvements of governance.
And before we talk sports, as one of the resolutions to the Anglophone crisis, a union of federalists would be meeting Saturday in the United States of America to propose solutions to the current crisis in the northwest and the southwest regions of Cameroon. It is holding under the theme Federalism, the Path to Unity and Diversity. Other prominent Anglophone figures will be taking part in the said General Assembly. We have Dr. Fontem Neba and equally Dr. Simon Munzo. Barrister Agbabala is going to be taking part in a video conference, and Christian Kadina Tumi is going to be represented at the meeting to take place tomorrow, Saturday, the 27th of October 2018 in Washington, D.C., America. And it should be noted that part of the federalist movement, we have English-speaking as well as French-speaking Cameroonians. We, of course, will be telling you about the resolutions of the said gathering in our subsequent newscast. On to something else, we now talk about the Confederation of African Football and the World's football governing body that will be sending a security meeting in the country. They have arrived already. According to report, the inspection is linked to the upcoming 2019 AFCON Games to be hosted by Cameroon. The visit of the 4-man CAF and FIFA security team in Cameroon is geared towards supervising the level of security as far as hosting the upcoming African Cup of Nations in Cameroon is concerned. And as far as the various projects are concerned, the governor of the littoral region, Samuel Dedoneva Dibois, actually visited some of the sites to host the sports competition here in the city of Douala. That was yesterday. Babla Jonathan was part of the convoy. He tells us more in this report.
Few days to the arrival in Cameroon of the Confederation of African Football CAF Security Commission October 30 and the CAF inspection team November 3rd, Littoral Governor and President of the Regional 2019 Africa Cup of Nations African Organizing Committee Samuel Dedone Ivaha Dibois is on the ground evaluating construction works at the African construction site in Douala. The different features of the Japoma Sports Complex in the country's economic capital, Douala, are progressively coming out of the ground. Despite the delay, construction works are moving towards the finishing line as weeks and months die down to the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations.
85% of the material are here already. We are cutting 2 times per week. This is north training area, this is south training area. This already grass is there. Every week we are cutting 2 times. It is growing so fast because raining and sun is shining and turf is growing very well. At the end of, we are little late, at the end of October, we will finish all the steel structure end of October, first week of November.
4 days to end.
Yeah, first because everything we are putting to access.
After going through the different departments of the sports complex, Littoral Governor Samuel Didune Vahadibwa tells the press that though there is still a lot to be done, much has already been done.
The company has doubled the workers that are performing in these fields, and also we are seeing that they are not only going to give us this stadium, the other one and the tennis club and swimming pool, all of them are on the way. The deadline, they will respect it.
At the Omi Sports Stadium, he is told that work is advancing at a considerable pace and that the deadline will be respected.
Rehabilitation works are equally progressing here at the Omi Sports Stadium in Douala. From the entrance right into the stadium, the different components of this sports amenity are being put in place to welcome players, team officials, fans, and of course the general public and even tourists during the 2019 Africa Cup of Nations. At the Bona Musadi Stadium, the pitch is almost set, the turf is progressing, and just some finishing touches have been done on the turf. As you can see behind me, some technicians who are working on the turf, making sure that everything is set, and of course work is still going on around the stadium. The other facilities, the other components of the stadium are still being put in place.
Same for the Mbapelepe Stadium.
Thanks indeed, Badla Jonathan, for the report there, bringing us to the end of this first segment of the news. Up next is Talking Point. We shall be right back. Good evening to you once again, ladies and gentlemen. You are joining us in the second part of this newscast. The GCA board has actually been restructured, as we announced earlier, after a presidential decree on the 22nd of October this week. At the helm of the board, we are going to be having a director general and deputy director, no longer registrar, as was the case before. 90% of board members are going to be coming from government institutions and ministries, while teachers associations as well as trade unions will no longer be part of the board members. We are going to be looking at the implications, as we announced earlier, and we are being joined tonight by a Muslim scholar of the Bible, Mr. Abdul Karim Ali. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on Talking Point.
Good evening, Mimi. Thanks for having me.
You're traveling all the way from Bamenda, certainly. You're coming from a region where we've been talking about the killing of the professor of the University of Bamenda, Professor Mbufong Paul, that has left the entire university community in shock. How is the atmosphere in the northwest region of Cameroon?
Let me begin by praising God and ask Him to send His blessings upon His prophet and righteous men and women, and to you, to myself, and everyone watching. Yes, the atmosphere has been like this for about a year and a half now. Such a sad situation. We're losing another elite in our region, a professor. Yeah, but we're being killed by the day. Mimi, I'm sure you all know that. Children, adults, and all non-combatants. We have been killed every day by the military. So the atmosphere is what it is. It's a war zone. We're at war. Nobody should take that for granted.
But the university communique is quite different. Unknown assailants killed the professor.
Well, until they provide the evidence.
So many start questioning who are the unknown assailants that actually killed the professor.
Yeah, it goes without saying the university could say that, but they don't have any first-hand evidence. But we have rather big handles of evidence, handled of having military pulling people out of their cars, out of their homes, torturing them and killing them. These are nothing to be hidden, and we don't have to play pranks about them. Well, I'm not saying I'm sure who killed the professor, but overwhelmingly we know who are killing the innocent lives.
Okay, certainly. We're talking about the GC board that has actually been restructured. Many have described this as nothing short but total assimilation of the lone Anglo-Saxon examination board in Cameroon. What do you have to say about that, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry for all Southern Cameroonians. First, recolonization, then Balkanization, and now we have the devolution of the only thing we have left our only legacy, our only pride, the GC board, which we fought for and was given in 1993, has been taken without any consent. But I'll say this, sometimes we need to decide between turning a page or closing a book. I don't think this regime has the guts to do this without some, what I would term as people who are looking for self-aggrandizement. We have Southern Cameroonians who must have been on the table when this thing was being planned. It's so bad that this is being done. If you follow carefully, you know Feka Food, which runs, I'm sure, the local football of this country. The Southwest League has been linked to Littoral. The Northwest League has been linked to the West. It's a clear case of total assimilation in the 21st century. And I'm surprised that those who are supposed to be speaking are rather silent. It's a shame. And that is it. If we lose this totally, then the identity is quickly going.
Now, at the time when many were talking about the fallen standards of the GCE board in Cameroon, transforming the board into a parastatal, many see it as beneficial to the English-speaking population. Why do you think that is more of a disadvantage than an advantage?
It's 100% a disadvantage. What dropped the standards of the university? What exactly the teachers came? Yeah, the GC board. It's exactly what the teachers came up to struggle against, and they were all kicked, maimed, and jailed in December 2016. Remember, there were complaints that the GCE board could not meet up with the kind of products that come from schools. Why? Because we have Francophone teachers being imposed on English subjects, teaching people in English, French, teaching in French, English subjects they have no mastery of. So if the educational system is weak, what do you expect of the GCE board? But who is supposed to fix their house? Can you go and tell Japanese people you're better fixers of their vehicles than them? I don't think so. Southern Cameroonians can fix their houses, but we have been given a sheep and the rope is being held. What can we do? And this even makes it worse. Now the rope has been taken and the ship has been taken, and I don't know what a Mercedes vehicle is doing in a Toyota garage.
Then some of these ministries, like you have it in Cameroon, we have English-speaking Cameroonians, like in the secondary education ministry. In fact, all the ministries in Cameroon, we have English-speaking Cameroonians represented there, even if they are not leading the various ministerial departments.
Yes, please. The GC board is not a ministry. And each time we fought for everything, they give it multiply to the other side of the country. We fought for GCE board, baccalaureate, and all these things were given. We fought for the Anglo-Saxon universities. Many universities were open. Why can't everybody just simply mind their business for a minute? Look, a ministry, yes? Please tell me one ministry that an Anglophone heads and have full autonomy. This is a GCE board, an Anglo-Saxon educational system. What is a Francophone's business in it? Tell me, what contribution can they bring? I don't know if you have an answer.
You should be the one to answer.
I don't know what contribution possibly can a Francophone bring, not with any disrespect to them. This is far way beyond their argues of profession. It's not their stuff. What can I help in journalism, for example? It's not my field. What can I be helping in a French system of education? Nothing at all.
So it should be totally Anglo-Saxon.
Because it is totally Anglo-Saxon.
It should remain the way it is. Now, the role of teachers' representatives is equally not being spelled out in the set text. What is going to be the implication, given that teachers' representatives, trade unionists, are no longer going to be part of the board members of the GCE board?
When the incumbent was Prime Minister in 1975 upwards, we were told, I don't have clear evidence, but we were told strongly that he wrote a memo to the then President Aijo that bilingualism is expensive, and he thinks that it's better off to have one language for the country, which is French. The implication of this is that the man is on the grand scheme. Aijo did not yield to his request. He is making sure that he completes it. The simple implication is that of assimilation. And that is what we've decried, that we cannot be assimilated. We don't have to be assimilated to be a people. And all this is because of power. When the power of force exceeds the force of power, this is what we have.
These are certainly some of the things that will be discussed during the All Anglophone Conference to take place on the 21st of November 2018, certainly Mr. Abdul Karim Ali. To talk about the problem of the GC, about the assimilation of the English-speaking population and the Anglophone crisis in general.
Of course, this is a big subject to be discussed by Anglophones. Very quick and fast, time is of the essence. But talking about the All Anglophone Conference, I cannot sit here and tell you I'm sure that meeting is going to hold. We heard the IG declaring their position, and trust me, there is no meeting that would make sense now without everyone who is a stakeholder in the field. We have the leaders of Southern Cameroons in the jail. We have millions who are in exile. They cannot come back to this country. We have
so you're pessimistic that the meeting is going to take place. It's not going to take place.
No, I'm rather objective. I'm rather objective that I don't see the enabling conditions to make it happen. We have millions in the diaspora who cannot come. We have internally displaced. We have the refugees. For me, I think that the first thing to be done if you want such a meeting to hold and hold inclusively is that we need to cease fire.
All the actors must come on board.
Yes, and then fire has to be ceased.
President Cardinal Tumi and all the conveners are finalizing preparations. They are at the level of budgeting and seeing how they can bring together all their resources to make sure that the meeting finally takes place.
Yeah, which is good. I think they are working and chewing gum, which is not bad, and they are hoping that things would come into play. But the government that I know, this country that I know, the people we live with, very stubborn people, disrespectful people, I'm not sure they are going to release the leaders, release all those who are in connection to this in the jails, have an enabling conditions, that is amnesty or clemency, call it whatever, for everybody to come back and cease fire in time. And we're talking about 3 weeks time or a month's time.
Meaning that an end to the Anglophone crisis might still be far-fetched, because many saw this as an opportunity to come out of this crisis.
Yeah, it's a good thing if Anglophones could sit and decide on something, but for now, I don't see this AGC holding on those dates.
Thank you so much, Mr. Abdul Karim Ali, for joining us tonight on Talking Point. We hope to have you some other time again.
The pleasure is shared. Thank you very much.
To our viewers, it was equally a pleasure having you with us in this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television. Wishing you a blessed day in the company of our programs. Until we meet again, goodbye.